and you need a couple of players offensively who maybe aren't so worried about scoring goals and are worried about playing defense. You need guys like Bobby Nystrom back in the day, guys who are worried about stopping the other team, and it's not so much about scoring themselves getting 35 goals. It's more about them getting 15 or 20, but making sure the other team doesn't get any.
A team always needs a guy like a Butch Goring,
right?
Or even
two-way players.
Or I wouldn't say Lorne Henning was a two-way player, basically, but he was a great.
He was a specialist.
defensive, offensive player.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's something the Islanders need desperately. And, if Garth Snow is announced tomorrow that he's been let go by the Islanders, I don't think you'll see any Islander fan shed a tear. They'll cheer. They'll be down at the Coliseum cheering.
They'll be giving him a Homer Simpson.
Woo-hoo. Yeah, the Coliseum is so unused right now that they're doing the flea market is back at the Coliseum. So every Sunday, if you want to go down there and get a pair of socks or something. Anyway, could John Tortorella. Is he,
you're going Rangers now.
Yeah, well,
just say Rangers.
Rangers. You think he's could be the successor to the Rangers?
I saw that.
Coach,
I saw this in the Post today, and I'll be honest, I laughed because obviously the Rangers now are going to have to find a successor to Alain Vigneault, and I hadn't even realized it. Vigneault, 5 years, that was one of the longest tenures of a Ranger coach. Maybe that's part of the problem with the Rangers is that they keep changing coaches so much. But
5 years isn't a lot.
It's not a lot. That's my point.
No, but I'm saying, the Rangers, you think they would, look at the Knicks. They change coaches all the time, it seems.
Too often.
Yeah, and there's a good chance Hornacek's not coming back, or Hornacek, so.
It's not his fault, but I don't think he's such a great coach anyway. But the problem that the Rangers are having, or that they had this year, like what you said before, if management decides, hey, we're gonna sell and we're gonna try and get some assets at the trading deadline, and we're pretty much giving the season away, and we're going to look forward to the next season. Well, how do you then put the blame for this on your coach, especially the coach who's had a successful run? Alain Vigneault, he's got 2 years left on his contract. That's the other thing.
Right.
So unless there's something going on there in the locker room that we really haven't heard much about, that he's lost the team somehow, I don't understand the Rangers' motivation here. This is a guy who's been a successful coach wherever he's been, and now you just, after one season and not making the playoffs, and especially when you sold off some of the best players on the team, how do you make this move? I don't get it. And some of the replacements that were listed, and Tortorella was one of them, but Larry Brooks had a few guys from college, including the coach at Union College, which stunned me. But
maybe he needed filler.
Well, no, the guy has he played a few games for the Rangers, and he's got a little bit of NHL assistant experience. So I mean, there's something there, and he did win the national championship with Union a couple years ago. So it's not completely unheard of, but I just think that would be a reach, right, to bring in a guy who's coaching a team with a campus population of about 3,000 or 3,500 and drop him into the Rangers coaching. Union College literally is covered by maybe 2 newspapers up there. Maybe. Now you drop that guy into the New York Rangers, and I mean, for his first press conference, there would be 50 people there.
There'd be a snake pit for him.
So, that's a reach. But Tortorella, if he's not brought back for next season, and if he's available, it would be interesting. I don't think that the Rangers would go there because Tortorella's a really abrasive guy. And it could be said he's a jerk. And it could be said correctly that he's a jerk because he is. Okay. He is. I had to deal with him when I was a writer. And just...
You're still a writer.
What a pain in the neck. What a pain in the neck he was. And just... he could be good for a quip and a quote because he's one of those guys where you never know what he's going to say.
Right.
But more often than not, just a pain in the butt.
We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. If you have a comment or question, 516-572-7440.
Opa, yasu. If that sounds all Greek to you, it is. The Soul of Alas is where you will find a world of Greek music, dances, history, mythology, vocabulary, and anything Greek occurring on the island and beyond. Hosted by Teddy Savalas, myself, and Michael Anthony on The Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Opa, yasu!
What you don't like about me is that I'm rich. I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. You know where you were born? In the gutter. You put hard times on this country by taking Dusty Rhodes out. That's hard time.
You listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you're never heard from again.
Just when they think they got the answers, I change the questions.
I will be the World Wrestling Federation champion. And what you gonna do, Macho Man, when the whole world full of Hulkamaniacs destroy you?
Join hosts Justin Greenberg and Dominic Arbolino for The Squared Circle, Mondays at 4 p.m. on The Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Alexa, can you please do my food shopping today?
Food shopping today added to your shopping list.
Alexa, can you do my math homework for me?
I'm not sure.
Alexa, play WHPC.
Play WHPC.
You can now listen to the Voice of Nassau Community College on your Amazon Echo.
Simply say, Alexa, play WHPC.
I am already playing WHPC.
Sorry. So go ahead and buy a silicone steamer in the shape of a faceless melting pig.
Buy a silicone steamer in the shape of a faceless melting pig.
Yeah, that exists. And while you shop, play WHPC.
Or buy a headband with a mullet hair attached to it.
I refuse to buy a headband with mullet hair attached to it.
Yeah, that exists too. Not sure why. But when you buy it, you can play WHPC.
So play WHPC on your Amazon device today.
And thanks for listening to 90.3 WHPC.
We're back here on From the Press Box. Here every Monday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're live on Facebook. We're streaming on the iHeartRadio app. Search WHPC.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. And we're on iTunes and Spreaker later on as a podcast. We're a radio show and a podcast, brother.
And a podcast.
And don't forget our second URL for the radio station, so maybe a little bit easier to remember, nccradio.org. And you can find out about all the great programming and information that's happening here at WHPC. And brother has something to read here. What do you got, brother?
Great programs like This Week's Long Island News, brother. That's Fridays at 4 o'clock. You can join Bill McIntyre for a look at the stories shaping the Long Island community over the past week. And listen as Newsday reporters talk about the stories they bring us in print and online every day. That's This Week's Long Island News with Bill McIntyre.
That's every Friday at 4 p.m.
Friday at 4 p.m.
On WHPC. Let's see, brother, what we got here? We've talked about the Rangers. We've talked about the Islanders. The NBA. Have you watched one game since Porzingis hurt himself?
Yes.
You have? Okay. I have.
Not the Knicks.
Not the Knicks. I'm talking about the Knicks.
I'm not subjecting myself to that.
It's been the...
My time is more valuable than that, brother.
It's been a very low-key season since he...
No, it's been a disgusting season.
It's been horrible.
It's you know the only reason. Well, all right, I'll give you two reasons to watch the Knicks is the ongoing. What's the word I'm looking for? This
soap opera?
No. The ongoing. I'll just say development and leave it at that. Of Frank Ntilikina in the backcourt,
right?
And now with Trey Burke, who was brought in. And the Moutier kid, Emmanuel Moutier, who they got in the trade from the Nuggets, and to see maybe what's going to happen in the backcourt for the Knicks coming up. Now, the other issue with that is depending on where the Knicks wind up with the ping pong balls in the lottery, Trae Young from Oklahoma could be an option for them.
Okay.
I don't know where Trae Young is going to go in the draft. He was so on fire early in the college basketball season. The first half of the season, Trae Young was the next Steph Curry. People went nuts. The kid was scoring 30 points a game and getting 10, 11 assists a game, and people were so all over this kid, they already had him in the Hall of Fame. What people didn't see was that Oklahoma, in its last 16 games, was something like 4-12. They lost. They somehow still made it into the tournament and lost in the first-round game.
Right.
Trae Young is an erratic player. He turns the ball over way too much. He doesn't value the ball. He can be spectacular, and he can dominate a game, but he can also take you out of a game just as quickly. So if that guy is available, do the Knicks draft him? And
No.
that's
No.
Or do they say, all right, Ntilikina, you're our guy, and yeah, you're only 19, but we're sticking with you because we need to see over the next 2 to 3 years what you actually are. Because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take 2 to 3 years to figure out what Phil Jackson drafted. Because unlike Porzingis, who at 7'3" will show you, and at least will in his rookie year, you could see glimpses of, all right, this guy is legit and he's for real. Point guards, it's a slower thing because they drafted an 18-year-old point guard. So you need to, and especially he's a defensive-minded point guard. So I keep hearing people say that this kid is going to be a great NBA player, but that starts with his defense. And you can't. It's hard to sell a fan base on defense because they want to see dunks and they want to see great no-look passes and they want to see all of these plays.
But New York, the Knicks have a history of having good defensive teams, and when they have a good defensive team, you're running the 60s and early 70s, and even the Pat Riley years and Jeff Van Gundy years. It's always been about defense,
right? But they need. It's hard to sell a fan base, even a fan base that wants good defense.
I think it's hard to sell a fan base that's really been cheated for the last 15 years.
But that's part of the problem.
And I do own stock in the company. So.
When you're looking at Dennis Smith Jr., who was the next pick by the Mavericks and who's had a pretty phenomenal rookie season, and this kid Donovan Mitchell, who is actually from New York and is playing for the Utah Jazz and was picked somewhere around like 16 or 17.
Right.
And when you look at guys like that who are energy players and have a lot of bounce in their game and clearly are more athletic and offensively gifted than Ntilikina probably ever will be. But when you look at guys like that, those are the players that Knicks fans say, well, Jesus, why didn't we draft these guys? Either one of them. Why didn't we draft a kid from New York who's just like up in Westchester or wherever he's from, Donovan Mitchell?
Right.
And this is what frustrates Knicks fans. I know so many Knicks fans who will tell you that Phil Jackson knew he was being fired and just screwed the Knicks with picking Ntilikina. And don't get me wrong, Ntilikina was getting some good pre-draft buzz, but it didn't make any sense to me when they picked him. And the only reason, I've said this before, the only reason that Phil Jackson picked him, I think, was because Ntilikina had some experience in the triangle offense and wasn't resistant to it when they had their pre-draft meeting with him. I think a lot of younger players especially were triangle. Like, I've never played triangle. That doesn't sound like anything I want to do.
Right.
And I think they wanted to avoid it because they heard a lot of Knicks, including Carmelo Anthony, saying, like, why are we playing this antique offense that this guy wants us to play? Just because Michael Jordan played it and just because Kobe played it. Well, yeah, great. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but you know what? If you call it just hit the open man instead of the triangle, that's all it is, really.
It's yes and no.
That's the part that's always got me.
Yes and no. It requires more of a big man.
Yes, that's true.
And that's not necessarily the best thing.
Because the open man, when the Knicks had Willis Reed was 6'9". So he wasn't.
And Willis Reed was also an athletic guy who could pass. He wasn't a big clumsy guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Same thing goes for Shaq. I mean, he was he's despite as big as he is, he still is a fairly nimble guy despite his enormous size. But he is, he was a guy who could deal with that. I don't know if Enes Kanter is the kind of guy who can deal with that.
That's a good point.
But besides Ntilikina and development of the guards, the only other reason I liked watching Knicks was Michael Beasley. As sad as that is to say, the guy who they signed, one of the last signings of the preseason, he's an intriguing guy, and I root for him because he's a guy with an